Your life is not controlled by the events that happen to you. It's controlled by the thoughts you allow to happen inside of you. Because every battle you will ever fight, every dollar you will ever earn, every relationship you will ever build, every limit you will ever break, it all begins in the same place, the mind. And the mind is not a passive vessel. It is not neutral. It is not immune. It is a gate. And if you don't stand guard at that gate, everything gets in. The doubt, the fear, the opinions, the lies, the poison of a world addicted to noise. Your mind is a kingdom, and you are the king. You are the queen. You are the sovereign. And if you don't control what enters, don't be surprised when chaos reigns inside. You cannot plant weeds and expect flowers. You cannot consume junk and expect clarity. You cannot invite weakness and expect strength. This is not about intelligence. This is about awareness. Because what you're feeding your mind today is what will shape your decisions tomorrow. So if you don't like your results, you must inspect your inputs, not just your habits, your headspace. What are you letting in? Who are you listening to? What conversations are you entertaining? What content are you consuming? What voices are you allowing to redecorate your inner world? Because most people don't fail from lack of effort. They fail from mental clutter, from internal sabotage, from letting in every opinion, every limitation, every distraction dressed as entertainment. They fail because they never stood guard, because they left the door open, because they trusted that the world would feed them truth, instead of training themselves to feed it intentionally. Your mind is a fortress, but it only works if you protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. That means you don't let every headline in. You don't let every trend shape your thinking. You don't let every friend speak into your dream. You don't let random voices write your inner script. You choose. You curate. You filter. You build a mental gatekeeping system so strong that only what empowers enters. That's discipline. That's mental leadership. That's sovereignty. And no, it's not always comfortable. Because when you start guarding your mind, you will lose people. You will outgrow conversations. You will distance yourself from the drama. You will start to look focused while the world looks distracted. But that's the cost of clarity. That's the price of peace. That's the entrance fee to a life where your mind is not a battlefield, but a weapon. Because when your mind is sharp, your life follows. When your thoughts are pure, your decisions elevate. When your focus is guarded, your income reflects it. When your standards are high, your environment rises to meet them. That's how leaders are built. Not in the spotlight, in the silence, in the morning hours, in the moments no one sees when you say, "That doesn't get access to me." By that video, that conversation, that habit, that noise, not anymore. Because your life is a garden and your mind is the soil. You don't plant negativity and harvest peace. You don't plant confusion and harvest clarity. You don't plant entertainment and harvest results. You harvest what you honor. And if you want to harvest greatness, you have to honor your mental gate every single day. Not once, not sometimes, always. Stand guard at the door of your mind, because the world is flooding your gate with garbage. It's subtle. It's constant. It's strategic. And if you don't filter it, you will become it. But if you build that wall, if you decide what gets in, if you train yourself to question everything that tries to sneak through the gate, you will become untouchable, calm in chaos, clear in confusion, grounded when the world is shaking. And when people ask you, how are you so focused? How are you so confident? How do you keep your peace in a world like this? You'll look them in the eye and say, I stood guard at the door of my mind, and I never stopped. Because once you start standing guard, something incredible happens. You stop living by default, and you start living by design. You stop reacting, and you begin responding. You stop absorbing everything, and start aligning with the few things that move you forward. You stop chasing clarity in the outside world, and start creating it from the inside. Because clarity is not given to the distracted. It's reserved for the disciplined. It's not handed to the ones who consume the most. It's revealed to the ones who filter with purpose. And that clarity, it becomes your compass, no longer pulled in 10 directions, no longer seeking permission, no longer lost in noise. You know who you are. You know where you're going. And more importantly, you know what doesn't belong anymore. You start subtracting the voices that drain you, subtracting the goals that don't fit you, subtracting the opinions that dilute you, subtracting the doubts that never came from you in the first place. That's what clarity gives you. Not more things to do, but the courage to remove everything that doesn't match your vision. And once you have that, vision opens wide. And I'm not talking about a dream board. I'm talking about a future so vivid it pulls your behavior into alignment. A future so detailed it makes you say no to anything beneath it. A future so real it feels more true than the distractions around you. Because vision is not a wish. It's a decision. And once decided, it begins to rebuild your identity. You don't try to act successful. You become the person who can no longer act like anything else. You don't have to fake confidence. You build clarity so strong, it breeds confidence without a script. And from that place, you move differently. You talk differently. You carry your hours like they're gold. You carry your words like they matter. You stop asking for direction because now you are the direction. That's the power of a mind that's protected. That's what happens when belief isn't borrowed, but built. And real belief is not loud. It doesn't shout to be seen. It doesn't need a crowd. It walks into the room with alignment. It doesn't need approval. It has evidence. It doesn't need motivation. It has clarity. It doesn't need hype. It has vision. And that belief, it becomes a force, a gravitational pull. It reshapes how you show up. It upgrades how you speak to yourself. It shuts down the mental viruses that once ran unchecked. The doubts that used to stay, they don't survive here. The fear that used to paralyze you, it doesn't pass through this gate anymore. Because this mind now has a guard, a filter, a standard, and belief becomes your baseline. Not hope, not hype, but a deep internal knowing that your life is rising because your thinking finally caught up with your calling. Because when belief becomes your baseline, purpose becomes your fuel. You're no longer drifting. You're driven, not by pressure, not by panic, but by meaning. Because now that you've stood guard at the door of your mind, now that the noise is silenced, the fog has cleared, and you can finally hear it, that quiet voice inside of you, whispering, this is why you're here. Not to blend in, not to survive, not to perform for a paycheck. You're here to build, to contribute, to elevate, to lead. And that purpose, it's not found in a title. It's found in impact. It's found in service. It's found in solving the problems your past trained you to fix. You stop thinking, what can I get? And start asking, what am I here to give at the highest level? Because purpose turns your pain into direction, your struggles into strategy, your life into leverage. It gives your work a weight that moves people, a depth that can't be faked, a certainty that can't be shaken. And once you touch that level of purpose, action is no longer optional. You don't wait for perfect plans. You move with purpose on imperfect days. You don't need permission. You've already approved yourself. You stop living on autopilot. You stop giving your best energy to low return activities. You stop starting over because now you build momentum like a machine. Action becomes your language. You speak through execution. You lead with movement. You don't announce what you're building. You become what you build. And that action, it creates evidence. And evidence destroys doubt. Every day you show up, every step you take, every standard you enforce, you are rewriting your internal script. No more self-sabotage. No more waiting for motivation. No more dancing with fear. Because the mind you've now protected, the clarity you've now cultivated, the purpose you've now aligned with, it commands forward motion. Even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when it feels like nothing's working. And that's when resilience is born. Not from comfort, but from commitment. Resilience doesn't mean it doesn't shake you. It means you don't stop. You adapt. You adjust. You anchor in identity, not outcome. You no longer fear failure. You repurpose it. You no longer run from resistance. You grow through it because your mind is now trained for battle. You don't crumble when it's heavy. You don't fold under pressure. You don't beg the storm to stop. You become the calm inside it. That's the edge. That's what separates those who dream from those who deliver. And all of it, every ounce of it, started at the gate. It started the moment you said, no more open doors to thoughts that don't serve my future. No more letting my mind be a dumping ground for fear, gossip, comparison, confusion. No more sleeping while my mind is being programmed by a world that wants me small. Now, you guard it. You feed it. You lead it. And in doing so, you lead your life because this is the moment where it all comes together. The mindset, the belief, the clarity, the vision, the discipline, the purpose, the action, the resilience. It all flows from one sacred choice: to stand guard at the door of your mind. Because when you guard the mind, you protect the mission, you protect your energy, you protect your identity. And when identity is protected, it becomes unshakable. It doesn't shift with rejection. It doesn't break under pressure. It doesn't bend to every opinion that passes by. You begin to live rooted, not just in results, but in who you've become. Because who you've become is now too powerful to play small, too aware to be manipulated, too focused to be distracted, too free to be tamed by noise. Now the mind is clear. And when the mind is clear, the decisions are sharp. The movement is clean. The execution is lethal. You no longer hope for better. You create it. You no longer talk about change. You embody it. You no longer wait for the right time. You are the timing. Because you built a mental fortress. Because you made your mind your ally. Because you said, no more chaos, no more compromise, only clarity, only calling, only conviction. And now you walk with power, quiet, focused, unapologetic, not because you're better than anyone else, but because you finally took full responsibility for the one thing no one else can control, the thoughts that shape your life. You wake up and you command the day. You enter rooms and you change the temperature. You make decisions not from pressure, but from principle, because your mind is no longer a battleground. It's a blueprint, a place of power, a foundation of fire. So from this moment forward, you live like someone who guards the gate. You speak like someone who trains the mind. You move like someone whose thoughts bow to their purpose. You are not average. You are not reactive. You are not easily swayed. You are sovereign. You are focused. You are mentally bulletproof because you made the decision most people never do, to stand guard at the door of your mind, to keep standing when it's easy to let in the noise, to choose clarity when confusion is trending, to choose stillness when the world is screaming. And for that, you will be rewarded with peace, with purpose, with precision, with power. And when they ask how you built this life, when they ask how you broke the cycles, how you created abundance, how you move with such quiet certainty, you'll look them in the eye and say, I guarded my mind like my life depended on it, because it did, and now I live free. There is a line in the sand. You don't cross it with words. You don't cross it with vision boards or empty motivation. You cross it with one decision, a decision so powerful, it separates the dreamers from the doers, the wanderers from the builders, the lost from the leaders. That line is called responsibility. Because the moment you take full, radical, unapologetic responsibility for your life, everything changes. Not gradually, instantly. Because when you own it all, you unlock it all. The power, the possibility, the process. But most people never cross that line. They flirt with progress. They touch the edges of growth. But they never take full responsibility, because that would mean no more blaming, no more waiting, no more hiding behind someday. And that's terrifying for the average mind, because when you take responsibility, you lose your favorite excuse, the illusion that it wasn't your fault. But here's the truth. Most never dare to face. It may not have been your fault, but it's still your responsibility. Your healing, your growth, your rise. You cannot outsource transformation. You cannot delegate discipline. You cannot rent success on someone else's belief. It has to come from you, because that is when life starts to bend in your favor. Not when you're lucky, but when you're locked into the mindset that says, I don't need perfect conditions. I don't need more time. I don't need anyone else to believe. I believe. I show up. I execute because this is my life, and I refuse to waste it. That's not arrogance. That's ownership. And ownership is the foundation of all transformation. It says, if I created this mess, I can clean it. If I tolerated this standard, I can raise it. If I settled once, I can choose again. Responsibility is not blame. It's not shame. It's power. It's the decision to stop reacting and start reprogramming. Your mind, your habits, your direction. It all starts here. In the moment you stop asking who else needs to change and start asking, what do I need to become? Because the world is full of people waiting for the apology, waiting for the promotion, waiting for the motivation, waiting for someone else to come fix what only they can rebuild. But you're done waiting. You're done hoping. You're done dragging your future behind the weight of your past. You are done being available for victimhood. You are done playing the blame game like it ever paid a dividend. You are done using pain as permission to stay small. You rise now, not because it's easy, but because you finally remembered that you were built for it. And now it's time to go deeper into mindset, into belief, into the kind of mental reprogramming that makes greatness inevitable. Because when responsibility takes root, it does not come quietly. It rewires your entire way of thinking. It turns mindset from a motivational phrase into a militant framework, a framework that says, I no longer take orders from doubt. I no longer consult fear before making decisions. I no longer design my life around the limitations of others. Mindset is not fluff. It's not some feel-good chant you repeat while life walks all over you. Mindset is mental warfare. And if you don't take control of it, someone else or something else will, because your mindset is the engine. It's what powers your direction. And if you've been spinning your wheels, if you've been stuck in a cycle of starting and stopping, of knowing but not doing, of dreaming but not building, it's not because you're weak. It's because your mind has been untrained. You've been trained to cope, not conquer. To survive, not shape. To obey the noise, not activate the vision. But that ends here, because when you take full responsibility, you also take full authority over your thoughts, over your patterns, over your reactions. You start catching the lies you tell yourself. I'm not ready. I'm too late. I don't have the time. You don't accept them anymore. You confront them. You replace them with codes of power. I'm not waiting for clarity. I create it. I'm not behind. I'm being built. I'm not lost. I'm locked in. That's belief, not hype, not borrowed confidence, but earned identity. Because belief without evidence is just noise. But belief built through repetition, resilience, and results, that becomes identity. That becomes your default setting. And when your default setting is belief, you become dangerous. Not because you never fail, but because you never fold. You stop negotiating your standards. You stop diluting your energy for people who don't get it. You stop carrying old versions of yourself into new seasons of opportunity. You walk different. You think different. You move different. And when you upgrade your mindset and ground it in belief, clarity becomes effortless. Clarity is not something you wait for. It's something you earn by stripping away distraction, by removing false options, by refusing to live your life, trying to keep every door open. Because clarity is about elimination. It's not, what else can I do? It's, what must I do? And what am I willing to sacrifice to make that happen? Most people stay confused because it's safer than choosing. But you're not most people. You choose. You decide. You commit. And once you're clear, truly clear, you stop showing up as a reaction to the world and start showing up as a force within it. And when clarity hits, when the fog finally lifts, you see it all. Not just where you are, but where you're meant to go. Not just what you've built, but what you've been ignoring. Clarity reveals the gap, the sacred space between your current life and your called life. And it demands an answer. Will you shrink back into safety, or will you stretch into vision? Because vision is not fantasy. It's not decoration for dreamers. It's the seed of destiny. And only the responsible mind can protect it. Only the disciplined heart can build it. Vision says, I'm not here to fit in. I'm here to found something. I'm not here to follow the noise. I'm here to lead through silence. Vision gives your life direction. It is the lens through which you filter your time, your relationships, your opportunities. And once you have it, you don't need 100 options. You need alignment. Vision lets you say no to good things because you're building greatness. And that greatness, it isn't loud. It isn't desperate. It's rooted in purpose. Not just, what do I want to do? But who am I here to become? Purpose doesn't beg for relevance. It breathes legacy. It isn't about success you can post. It's about impact you can't measure. Purpose turns work into worship. It turns time into currency. It turns breath into building blocks of something eternal. And once you move from pressure into purpose, you don't burn out. You burn brighter. You don't beg for direction. You walk like the path already knows your name. But all of that, the clarity, the vision, the purpose, is only as strong as the discipline that backs it. Because discipline is the proof. It's what separates the maybe from the must. It's what says, I don't just want this. I'm becoming this. Discipline is sacred. It's the altar you build every morning with your decisions. It's what keeps the promise alive, long after the mood has died. You don't get to have high-level vision with low-level habits. You don't get to talk legacy while living in compromise. You don't get to play at your calling part-time and expect full-time impact. Discipline says, I don't skip what matters. I don't delay what's aligned. I don't disrespect my future by flirting with inconsistency. You show up, not for applause, but for alignment. Because when responsibility is real, so is discipline. And when discipline becomes your identity, success doesn't need to be chased. It follows you. Because once discipline is in place, action becomes inevitable. You don't wait to be inspired. You become initiation. You don't need a push. You are the momentum. Because aligned action isn't forced. It flows. It flows from belief, from clarity, from purpose that refuses to be ignored. And when you take action from that place, not panic, not comparison, but identity, everything starts to move. Doors that were locked begin to creak open. Connections emerge from nowhere. Opportunities magnetize toward your energy because the universe recognizes movement rooted in truth. But even then, especially then, you don't take it for granted. You walk with gratitude, not the quiet kind, not the soft kind, but the kind that grounds you, that reminds you, this moment is mine. This breath is mine. This season, I prayed for it. I bled for it. I built for it. Gratitude doesn't make you slow. It makes you stable. It keeps you from becoming entitled. It protects you from burnout. It gives weight to the process, value to the small steps, power to the mundane. And when the process gets hard, because it will, that's where adaptability is born. Because you don't just act, you adjust. You don't quit when the plan shifts. You pivot with power. You don't cling to a method. You stay married to the mission. Adaptability is not weakness. It's strategic evolution. It says, the outcome is non-negotiable. But how I get there, that's flexible. It's not about never falling. It's about never losing rhythm when you do. And that rhythm, that ability to keep going, to keep showing up when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, unseen, that's resilience. Resilience is not bouncing back. It's rising different. It's learning from the storm. It's leading through the mess. It's carrying wisdom in your wounds and still choosing to build anyway, because you're no longer afraid of pressure. You're refined by it. You're no longer afraid of silence. You hear yourself in it. You're no longer afraid of being tested. You trust who you've become, and who you've become is someone who can't be shaken, can't be broken, can't be convinced to go back to the old mindset, the old habits, the old year, the old identity, because you've learned that success never comes from outside. It's not handed down. It's called out from within. And the moment it arrived was the moment you said, this is on me, not the market, not the economy, not the algorithm, me, my time, my thoughts, my standards, my structure. And from that moment, success began. Then let's bring it home, not with noise, but with truth, not with hype, but with honor, not with a whisper, but with a war cry from the soul. Because now you know, you've seen it, you've felt it, you've walked through the fire of realization and come out ready to stop blaming, ready to stop waiting, ready to stop rehearsing the same excuses that have kept generations bound. And now you are the one who breaks the chain, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger, not because someone saved you, but because you finally stood up for yourself. Because when you took full responsibility, you stopped living like a victim of your story and started living like the author of it. No more passive prayers. No more conditional effort. No more, I'll start when. You've already started. You've already crossed the line. You've already activated the one decision that separates the remembered from the forgotten. And that decision is this: I will take full responsibility for everything I become. Not just the results, but the process. Not just the applause, but the silence. Not just the success, but the structure. Because success isn't something you wait for. It's something you rise into. It begins the moment you say, I am the one who decides. And now you've decided. You've decided that average is not your inheritance. You've decided that waiting is not your legacy. You've decided that your life is not random. It's crafted by what you build, what you believe, and what you're willing to hold yourself accountable for daily. You are not the victim. You are the vessel. You are not the excuse. You are the evidence. You are not the story they told you to live. You are the story they'll tell when someone asks, what does it look like when a person truly takes ownership of their life? And from this day forward, you will live like it, move like it, build like it, earn like it, lead like it. Because success begins the moment you take full responsibility. And that moment is now. Now go, write it, live it, be it. Success does not arrive with a parade. It does not scream its arrival from the mountaintop. It whispers through the cracks of ordinary days. It knocks on the door of the unnoticed. While most are waiting for something grand, something flashy, something unmistakably big to declare their destiny, the truth stands quietly behind them, tapping them on the shoulder. Because success, real success, is not loud. It is silent discipline. It is invisible repetition. It is what you do when no one's watching. It is what you perfect when nobody cares. Success is doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. The world sells you the myth of a momentone breakthrough. One call, one opportunity, but life is never won in moments. Life is won in the hours nobody sees. It is earned in the dark. In the early morning when the alarm clock sings and your body screams no. It's earned in the lonely evenings where you choose one more page, one more rep, one more call, while others choose comfort. It's earned in small, invisible choices, repeated with insane consistency. The extraordinary are not gods. They are not chosen. They are not born different. They are made by standards, made by habits, made by a decision to stop waiting for the perfect condition and start becoming the perfect candidate. The difference between average and legendary is not a talent gap. It's a commitment gap. Most people want success, but only a few are willing to pay the boring price, because the price isn't always glamorous. It isn't fame and flash. It's repetition. It's precision. It's sharpening the same edge until it becomes a blade so lethal it cuts through doubt, fear, and mediocrity. You see, the world glorifies intensity, but success belongs to the consistent. Intensity is what makes you start. Consistency is what makes you finish. It's not about what you do once or how loud you do it. It's about what you do again and again and again. Even when the applause stops, even when the crowd thins out, even when there's no confirmation that it's working, you keep going. You keep building. You keep showing up with excellence. Because ordinary done with excellence will always outperform brilliance done inconsistently. People ask, what's the secret? The secret is, there is no secret. It's waking up every day and asking yourself, how can I do this one thing a little better? How can I write that email with more precision? Shake that hand with more intention? Speak that word with more power? Serve that customer with more care? Love that person with more presence? Success hides in these corners. It hides in the details most ignore. Mindset is the foundation. Before anything external changes, the internal must be forged. You cannot outperform the story you tell yourself. If you see yourself as weak, you will act weak. If you see yourself as a victim, you will find oppression. But if you see yourself as someone becoming, someone rising, someone worthy of greatness, then everything you do becomes a reflection of that belief. Your hands follow your mind. And the problem with most people isn't that they don't have the talent, it's that they don't have the identity. They're trying to build a life with bricks from someone else's house. You have to build your own. That means starting with the inner voice, upgrading your self-talk from maybe to must, from I hope to I will, from someday to right now. And belief? Belief is the fire. It's the pilot light that keeps burning long after motivation has died. Belief makes the ordinary sacred. When you believe your work matters, you do it with more soul. You answer the phone like it's a mission. You fold the clothes like it's art. You lift the weight like it's your last. Belief transforms labor into legacy. And those who believe deeply act boldly. Clarity. Now that's your compass. Without it, you're running fast in the wrong direction. You cannot hit a target you refuse to define. So write it down. Name it. See it in your mind. Be so clear on your vision that confusion becomes impossible. Because when the picture is clear, the work becomes automatic. Every no becomes easier. Every temptation loses power. When you know where you're going, even the storms serve you. But vision without purpose is a car without fuel. Why do you want it? Not just the money, not just the title, but the deeper why. The soul-filling why. The reason that makes you cry when no one is around. That purpose is your fuel, and it must be lit daily. You must remind yourself, I'm not doing this to impress. I'm doing this to become. Success is not about collecting trophies. It's about becoming the kind of person who earns them every single day. Discipline, the bridge between desire and reality, is the language of the great. People admire talent, but they respect discipline. Discipline is proof you mean it. Discipline is saying no to yourself when it hurts. Discipline is brushing your teeth with purpose. It's making your bed like it's a cathedral. It's writing when you don't feel creative. It's going to the gym when your body aches. Because you're not training your body. You're training your spirit. You're proving to yourself that you are in control. And action, that's where the magic lives. No plan, no matter how brilliant, is greater than the smallest act. People don't fail from a lack of knowledge, they fail from a lack of movement. The graveyard is full of brilliant thinkers who never executed. Don't be one of them. Move, make a call, send the proposal, start the page, post the content, knock on the door. You don't have to get it perfect, you just have to get it going. Gratitude is the fuel that keeps your heart aligned while you grind. Without it, success becomes empty. With it, even the struggle becomes sacred. Gratitude is not passive. It is not weak. It's a warrior's weapon. It's saying, I may not have everything I want, but I'm everything I need to begin. When you cultivate gratitude, you stop chasing life and start building it. Every task becomes a privilege. Every opportunity becomes a gift. And the more you give thanks, the more life gives you to be thankful for. Adaptability is the quiet superpower. The river doesn't fight. The rocket bends, it flows, it reshapes the terrain. The successful are not rigid. They are relentless. They don't demand perfect conditions. They create perfect responses. When the plan fails, they pivot. When the door closes, they build a window. Success requires that you move with life, not against it. That you evolve. That you adjust your sails as the wind shifts. Those who cling to certainty drown. Those who adapt rise. Resilience is when you get up one more time than you fell. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. It's the dirt under your fingernails kind of power. Resilience is built in rejection, in setbacks, in the days where nothing works, in the nights where doubt creeps in like a thief. But instead of folding, you fight. Instead of shrinking, you stand. You remind yourself, this pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Because every time you get knocked down, you're learning to rise faster, stronger, clearer. Learning is your lifelong edge. The moment you stop learning is the moment you start decaying. The mind must be sharpened daily like a blade. Read the books. Ask the questions. Study the masters. Don't just consume, understand. Don't just memorize, apply. Intelligence is potential. Wisdom is action. Learn like your life depends on it, because it does. Growth is not optional. It is survival. And those who grow fastest win longest. Because in the end, success is not some distant land you arrive at. It is a rhythm, a beat, a way of moving through life. It's the way you hold your coffee cup, the way you greet the janitor, the way you type an email, the way you show up every single day. It is not a miracle. It is mastery. It is doing what everyone else does, but doing it with such obsession, such care, such reverence, that the ordinary becomes art. That's where greatness lives, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not in the grand moments, but in the unseen ones. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you want the extraordinary, don't chase the extraordinary. Chase excellence in the ordinary. Treat the simple as sacred. Treat the routine as ritual. And watch how life unfolds for those who dare to master what others ignore. You don't need more secrets. You need more standards. You don't need more inspiration. You need more repetition. And you don't need to be extraordinary. You need to make the ordinary extraordinary. And when you do, the world will ask you how, and you'll smile. Because deep down, you'll know you did the ordinary things extraordinarily well. And the world will not understand it at first. They'll look at your results and call you lucky. They'll call it natural. They'll try to explain it away with stories of timing, of help, of shortcuts, because the truth threatens them. The truth is too simple. The truth is too brutal. The truth is, you just outlasted them. You outdedicated them. You outdisciplined them. You took the same hammer to the same stone every day without applause until the stone cracked wide open. They saw the crack. They never saw the hammering. Let them underestimate you. Let them sleep on your consistency. Because while they chase what's shiny, you're building what's solid. While they post, you practice. While they flex, you focus. They want the throne, but they don't want the weight of the crown. They want the stage, but they don't want the silence that prepares you for it. They want to win without becoming a winner. But you are different. You understand that every small task done well is not just practice. It is prophecy. It is evidence. You are telling the universe, I am ready. You are telling your future, I will earn you. Because the man or woman who takes the mundane seriously, who treats the daily like destiny, who respects the process, becomes unstoppable. Do not look for shortcuts. Look for sharpening stones. The pain is not in the way. It is the way. It is the chisel that sculpts you. Welcome it. Embrace it. Every hard moment is shaping your character. Every dull day is carving your spirit. Every rejection is sanding off the ego, because when you emerge, you will not just be strong, you will be forged, tempered, indestructible. It's the ones who fall in love with the boring, who rise above the extraordinary. This is why you clean the room like it's the palace of a king, why you answer the email like it's $1 million deal, why you shake every hand like it holds the key to your future. You bring excellence to the table, not because you expect a reward, but because it's who you are. Your habits don't serve the moment. They shape the man. And the man you are becoming is built in repetition. You don't wait for the motivation to show up. You wake up and move before it arrives, because you've learned action brings motivation, not the other way around. You've learned that the feeling of greatness follows the habit of effort. You've learned that the mind obeys the body when the soul leads first. And so you lead. You lead your day. You lead your thoughts. You lead your standards. No more compromising. No more waiting for the mood to strike. No more living in the almost committed, almost consistent, almost confident, almost successful, almost never made anyone a legend. You will not be remembered for what you planned to do. You will be remembered for what you did. And what you did day after day, when it was boring, when it was quiet, when it was invisible, that's what becomes your legacy. So wake up and take yourself seriously, not with arrogance, with urgency. Because this life, this one precious life, It's not a dress rehearsal. This is it. This is the shot. And every moment you waste, waiting for something easier, you are stealing from your own potential. You say you want the dream? Then start treating your daily actions like sacred rituals, not disposable routines. Want the income? Master the input. Want the success? Respect the sacrifice. Want the results? Obsess over the reps. The grind doesn't break you, it reveals you. Let the world sleep. You will rise. Let them laugh. You will build. Let them delay. You will do. And in the end, when the lights are on and the world finally takes notice, they will say, "How did you do it?" And you will smile, because you'll know. You didn't skip steps. You didn't take shortcuts. You just outworked, outlasted, outloved the process. You did the ordinary things extraordinarily well. And that changed everything. You became the architect of your life, not by accident, not by lottery, not by favor, but by fidelity. Fidelity to the process. Fidelity to your habits. Fidelity to the man or woman you chose to become long before the world ever believed it. You kept showing up. You kept building when no one clapped. You kept speaking life over your dreams when doubt was the only voice in the room. You planted seeds in silence and watered them with sweat, with patience, with invisible faith. And one day they broke through the soil not because of luck, but because roots were being grown in secret. Success is not what the world gives you. It's what you earn in silence. They saw the fruits. You know the roots. You know the days you held yourself together with nothing but a whisper. Keep going. The nights you stared into the dark, and the only light was the vision burning behind your eyelids. The mornings you dragged your weary bones out of bed, not because you felt like it, but because your purpose left you no other option. You see, success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. And becoming is not an event. It's a habit. It's built in the choices you make when no one is keeping score. It's built in the way you do the thing that doesn't seem to matter because deep down you know it all matters. That email you almost sent without proofreading, that's your reputation. That rep you almost skipped at the gym, that's your discipline. That hour you almost wasted on distraction, that's your life. There are no small acts, only small standards. Raise your standards. Raise them until they choke out your excuses. Raise them until they silence your self-doubt. Raise them until the world around you either rises to meet them or gets left behind. Because the person with high standards doesn't need external validation. They don't need someone to check their work. They are the standard. They bring greatness into everything they touch, not because they're told to, but because they couldn't do it any other way. It's who they are now, not just what they do. Success doesn't come to those who dabble. It comes to those who decide. Decide that you are no longer living at 70%, 80%, or even 90% of who you could be. Decide that every action you take from this moment forward will reflect the greatness within you, not the limitations around you. The greatest mistake you can make is to wait for your circumstances to change before you change. Your environment is a mirror, not a master. It reflects your inner world. So don't wait for your bank account to grow before you act wealthy. Don't wait for your health to be perfect before you treat your body like a temple. Don't wait for someone to love you before you live like you are already loved. Act as if the future you want is already yours. Because in many ways, it is. It's waiting. It's watching. And it will only reveal itself to the one who acts like it belongs to them. And that's what ordinary done extraordinarily well does. It signals to the universe, to the world, to your own spirit, that you are ready, that you are worthy, that you are serious. So get serious. Serious doesn't mean cold. It doesn't mean rigid. It means sacred. Sacred about your time. Sacred about your purpose. Sacred about your future. Because if you treat something as sacred, you handle it with care, with respect, with excellence, and your future deserves all three. There is no success without reverence, no greatness without devotion. You must fall in love with the path so deeply that the destination becomes irrelevant, because you are no longer walking to arrive. You are walking because you've become the kind of person who walks like a giant, even when no one is watching. So when you rise in the morning, do it with intention. Don't stumble into the day. Command it. When you speak, do it with precision. Don't fill the air with noise. Deliver substance. When you act, do it with fire. Don't wait for someone to light the spark. Be the match. Because every moment matters. Every word carries weight. Every action either builds your legacy or buries it. The world may not notice when you do the ordinary well, but it will never forget when you do it with such mastery, such conviction, such excellence, that it transforms into the extraordinary. And in that moment, when the invisible becomes undeniable, you will realize you didn't just build success. You became it. You became the walking embodiment of a principle the world forgot. That greatness is not an act, but a habit, a spirit, a code. While the masses were hypnotized by hacks and hungry for shortcuts, you chose the ancient path, the one carved by sweat, carved by silence, carved by sacrifice. You chose to master the basics so completely, so relentlessly, that even the gods of fortune bowed in respect. You made the ordinary holy, and that changed everything. The man who folds his shirt with purpose will build an empire with precision. The woman who writes one clear sentence with passion can ignite a movement with her voice. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. There is no separation, no compartmentalization. The disciplines you build in private echo in the halls of your public destiny. And yes, there were days you didn't want to do it. There were moments where nothing made sense, where the reward felt far, the grind felt cruel, and the finish line blurred in the fog. But you kept going anyway. Not because you felt like it, but because you no longer negotiated with your destiny. You made a vow to show up when the applause faded, a vow to act with excellence even in obscurity, a vow to make the mundane magnificent. And that vow has made you dangerous. Dangerous to laziness, dangerous to mediocrity, dangerous to the old version of yourself who once needed comfort more than courage. You've become the kind of person who doesn't wait for motivation, doesn't beg for permission, and doesn't collapse under pressure. Because the pressure only polished you. It made you sharper, cleaner, clearer. You no longer walk like the average man. You carry yourself differently. Because you've earned something most never do. Self-respect. There is no greater wealth. You see, success is not about stacking money. It's about stacking moments of self-trust. It's the confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself when nobody else was looking. It's the fire that grows from honoring your word day in, day out, even when no one else believed in it. And now that fire cannot be extinguished, it is rooted in who you've become. No trend can replace it. No downturn can shake it. No critic can touch it. Because you have built your life on the firmest foundation known to man. Discipline applied with excellence. Not hustle, not hype, but honor. The honor of doing what others overlook. The honor of giving more than what is required. The honor of showing up like it all matters because it does. Every day you polish your habits like a soldier sharpens his blade. You understand that talent may open doors, but only character keeps them open. And character is built when you do the right thing, especially when it's the hard thing. You've stopped chasing. You've started attracting. Not by asking, not by waiting, but by becoming. That is the real law of attraction. To become so excellent at what you do, so precise in how you move, so powerful in how you think, that the world has no choice but to respond. Opportunities appear not because you're lucky, but because they were drawn to the fire you lit every day in silence. Let others chase recognition. You chase refinement. Let others chase speed. You chase mastery. Because you've learned that fast success fades, but deep roots weather every storm. And storms will come. There will be days when you're questioned. Days when your path seems uncertain. Days when the noise of the world tries to convince you that ordinary actions can't possibly lead to extraordinary lives. But you know better. You've walked the path. You've seen the proof. You've tasted the reward of invisible labor that manifests in undeniable results. So you hold the line. You keep the rhythm. You honor the process. You no longer need to be convinced. You've become conviction itself. And here's the miracle. When you do the ordinary things with extraordinary heart, the world begins to treat you like someone extraordinary. Not because you demanded it, but because you became it. You are now the evidence, the example, the walking contradiction to a lazy world. You prove that greatness isn't inherited, it's earned. That discipline isn't suffrage, it's liberation. That excellence isn't exhausting, it's energizing. Because nothing gives life more than living aligned with your highest self. So rise. Every day you rise, you send a message you know, just to the world, but to your own soul. You say, I am not here to exist. I am here to evolve. I am not here to fit in. I am here to stand out. I am not here to finish fast. I am here to finish fulfilled. You've redefined success not by what you own, but by who you've become. And now the world will follow. Because once a soul awakens to its true nature, it cannot go back to sleep. You are no longer the same. You no longer see the world the way you once did. What once looked like chores now looks like opportunities. What once felt like inconvenience now feels like initiation. You don't curse the repetition anymore, you revere it. Because you know what it leads to. You know it's being forged in those moments. The man or woman who lives in mastery doesn't fear boredom, they fear disconnection. Disconnection from their purpose, from their standards, from the edge they built through daily devotion. So they stay close to the fire. They return to the basics, not because they forgot, but because they remember. Remember what it felt like to want more, to be hungry, to not yet believe they were worthy. And they honor that hunger by never letting it die. You see, the elitist, truly illiterate, wait until they feel like working. They don't wait until the crowd comes. They don't wait for motivation, applause, or external force. They simply act. Not impulsively, intentionally, not emotionally, relentlessly. Every day, the same commitment. Show up, sharpen the blade, execute with excellence. Not just once, not just when it's easy, but every single time. Because excellence isn't a sometimes thing, it's an always thing. And when others fall off, when the average lose focus, when the lazy make excuses, when the weak retreat, you advance, not with noise, but with discipline, not with panic, but with power. Because you've trained yourself to thrive where others hesitate. You didn't build your greatness on perfect days. You built it in the chaos. You built it in the storm. You built it when it was hard to breathe, hard to see, hard to believe. And still you rose. Because you understand no ease is not your friend. Ease is a seducer, a liar. It convinces you to trade legacy for comfort. It whispers, take the day off, and steals a piece of your future when you do. But you've stopped listening to it. You've stopped negotiating with weakness. You're no longer trying to fit in. You're too busy standing out. The average man prays for easier problems. The extraordinary man becomes a bigger solution. The average woman wishes for lighter burdens. The extraordinary woman strengthens her back. This is who you are now. You've trained your mind to obey your mission. You've trained your body to follow your intention. You've trained your soul to rise, even when life knocks you breathless. That's not ordinary. That's a force. That's a fire. That's what the world cannot copy, cannot steal, cannot fake. And while others build profiles, you've built power. While others chase clout, you've built competence. While others fake confidence, you've built credibility. You don't need to tell people who you are. They feel it when you walk in. Because presence is not about volume. It's about vibration. And when you live in alignment with purpose, your frequency is undeniable. You radiate certainty. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've become the kind of person who does not bend in the presence of chaos. You are the calm. You are the clarity. You are the cornerstone. You've reached the point where you're no longer interested in being impressive. You're obsessed with being effective. You don't want the illusion of success, you want the substance. You don't want likes. You want legacy. And that legacy is not built in front of a camera. It's built in the hours when the world is asleep and you're still moving, still planning, still preparing, still pushing. Because somewhere deep inside, you know you were made for this. You were not made for mediocrity. You were not made to live and die without unlocking your gift. You were not made to coast through life in quiet regret. You were made to rise, to lead, to ignite, to leave this earth having poured every ounce of your greatness into the world around you. And it all starts, yes, it all starts by doing the ordinary with extraordinary care. No magic, no mystery, no miracles, just mastery. One choice at a time, one act of excellence at a time, one brick placed with reverence and intention until you look up and realize you didn't just build a life, you built a legacy that will echo through eternity. Because when your time comes to leave this world, and it will, you will not take your bank account with you. You will not take your followers. You will not take your trophies or your titles. You will leave behind one thing, your echo. Your echo is the sound your life made, the impact your habits left, the resonance of your decisions in the lives of others. And that echo, it is not created in the climax. It is built in the details. It is forged in the way you lived your ordinary days, the way you rose before the sun, the way you shook a hand with intention, the way you held eye contact with presence, the way you pursued mastery, not mediocrity. You will be remembered for how you made people feel. And people feel the energy of your standards. They feel the gravity of your self-respect. They feel the presence of your discipline. When you carry yourself with honor, the room adjusts to your frequency. You don't have to demand respect. You command it by who you are, by how you move. That's what ordinary done extraordinarily well does. It makes you magnetic. It makes people look and wonder, what is it about them? And the answer is never on the surface. It's deeper. It's invisible. It's the years of refinement, the mornings of silence, the decisions that no one else would make, the standard that says, I will not betray the man I'm becoming for the comfort of the man I was. And that kind of power, it's rare. It's sacred. It's what builds dynasties, movements, masterpieces. Because what starts as habit becomes identity. And identity is the deepest form of transformation. You don't just act differently, you are different. You think differently, speak differently, walk differently. Because you are no longer playing the game like everyone else. You've stepped off their board and built your own. And when you build your own board, you stop begging for a seat at the table. You are the table. You bring value so undeniable people come to you. They ask how you became what you are. And you will tell them the truth, the raw, unromantic, powerful truth. I mastered the ordinary. I took what everyone else overlooked, and I gave it my everything. I didn't chase perfection. I chased progress, daily. I stopped needing validation and started honoring my vision. And they'll either rise with you or fade watching you. Because when you start living like this, two things will happen. You will outgrow people and you will attract new ones. People who get it, people who don't flinch at discipline. People who bring the same fire, the same focus, the same relentless intent. And together you will rise like iron sharpening, iron cutting away anything that no longer aligns. This is the path few walk. It is narrow. It is steep. It demands all of you. But it gives back tenfold in peace, in power, in purpose. And the beauty? It's available to anyone, but most won't choose it. Because most people are not willing to be excellent in secret. Most people are not willing to delay gratification, delay applause, delay ego. Most people want to be seen more than they want to become. They want attention more than ascension. But not you. You're different. You understand the difference between movement and progress, between action and alignment, between potential and proof. And you've chosen proof. Not once, every day, in every moment, with every breath. And the day will come when everything you dreamed of stands before you real, tangible, earned, and it won't feel shocking. It will feel right. Because deep down you'll know this wasn't luck. This wasn't random. This was built. This was forged. This was deserved. And that is the highest form of success. To become the person who belongs in the life you desire. So remember this. You don't have to be the loudest, just the most disciplined. You don't have to be the fastest, just the most consistent. You don't have to be the best today, just better than you were yesterday. Do the ordinary things. Do them with excellence. Do them until excellence becomes your nature. And when it does, nothing can stop you. And here is where most people stop. Right at the edge. Right at the border between good and great. Right where it starts to burn. Right where the silence becomes deafening. Right where the world goes quiet and the only voice left is your own. And that voice says, you've done enough. That voice says, you've earned a break. That voice says, you can slow down now. But not you. Because you've trained your mind to recognize that voice note as truth, but as the final test. That last threshold between potential and power. That moment where most fold, but you double down. Because this isn't about doing what's required. This is about doing what transforms. You've come too far to turn soft now. Too far to lower your standard. Too far to back away from the greatness that's already breathing through you. This is the moment you go all in. Not for the recognition, not for the trophy, but for the evolution. Because you know now the goal is never just the result. The real prize is who you become in the pursuit. The calm under pressure, the focus in chaos, the fire in stillness. And that is what ordinary never sees. That's what the average mind can't comprehend. They think success is luck. But you've lived the repetition. You've lived the sacrifice. You've felt the ache of unseen effort and the triumph of self-respect earned through sweat. You've built something no storm can shake. A character rooted in excellence. And now, every room you enter changes. Not because you demand power, but because you are power. Not because you shout, but because you show up in silence, and the silence commands attention. You've become a force. Not because you wanted to dominate, but because you decided to master what everyone else ignores. And that's the lesson the world needs to hear. That success is not magic. It's not mysticism. It's not a secret hidden in the clouds. It's in your morning routine. It's in your daily reps. It's in your level of care when no one's clapping. It's in how you show up when the room is empty, when the sun hasn't risen, when the results haven't come. It's what you do when you could slack off, but don't. When you could hide, but led. When you could settle, but climb. So now, look at your life. Look at your habits. Look at the way you do the small things. Because that is your prophecy. If you are sloppy in silence, you will be weak in the storm. But if you are excellent in the ordinary, you will be untouchable in the extraordinary. You will become the kind of human that inspires without speaking. You will lead without forcing. You will resonate on the back of flash, but on the wings of self-mastery. And when they ask you how you did it, when they ask you what changed, when they ask you who helped you, what hack you found, what shortcut you took, you'll look them dead in the eye and you'll tell them the truth. No drama, no secrets, just a code, a vow you made with yourself long ago. That while the world was chasing attention, you were mastering repetition. That while others wanted to be seen, you were building something real. That while others looked for permission, you gave yourself the authority, and that every single day, you did the ordinary things with extraordinary fire. That's how legacies are built. That's how giants are made. That's how the unseen becomes unforgettable. Not because you were born different, but because you chose differently. And you never stopped choosing. That is how you changed your life. That is how you will change the world. You did the ordinary extraordinarily well.